Hey, what's going on, everyone? How's everybody doing? We're back with another Equip the Podcast episode. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope you're having a great day or a great week so far, depending on when you are listening to this. And if you're a usual watcher, I just want to say, thank you for continuing to listen and to support. Don't forget to like if you're listening on one of the podcast platforms. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like and also subscribe. And if you're new to watching or listening, please like and subscribe as well because it really helps out. So, just had to say all those little things to get that out there, of course, right? So, today, I kind of want to talk about something because it's holiday season. And I see it all the time. Well, more than recently, more than I usually do, I feel like. But it's a common theme that happens. I feel like going on in holiday season where we have people I feel like who are I feel like, well, they are misinformed. They can be Debbie Downers. They just want to say X, Y, and Z, and then some might actually mean well too. Like maybe they just want to help people understand certain things, right? So I get it, right? But I kind of want to help people out, and I really want to talk about this well, not situation, but this thing, right? And this episode is called "Does participation mean that you worship it?" So pretty much, does it mean that if you participate, wear, look, acknowledge it, that you actually partake in something wrong, right? Or do you actually worship it and things like that? I think it's important too because when it comes to holiday season, you'll have people that will post memes or say certain things like, "Yeah, if you participate in Christmas, then you're a pagan, and you worship pagan gods and all this other different stuff," or even Halloween, like stuff, or any, but those are like the most two, main two. Like every year, they always remind you, oh, well, you're worshiping pagan gods, or that's what they did, it, blah blah blah, and all this and that, right? So I kind of wanted to talk about that. 'Cause I feel like a lot of people are misinformed when they're talking about does participating, or maybe wearing something, or maybe looking at something. Does that mean that you're actually worshiping it and partaking in it? So I kind of wanted to talk about that because I feel like there needs to be more clarity about this because I think there's some people that might feel like they're actually doing something wrong just because they participate in something or partake in something or just wear something basic, right? And then you got other people out here who are just saying that they are participating or you are this and that just because you participate in something or in the case may be, right? So I kind of wanted to talk about that because I feel like people are misinformed, and I think that this will help equip people for both sides of the spectrum. I think, right? So let's get into it, honestly, right? So, hold on. I'm gonna share my screen. Share my screen. Hold on. Oh, was I already sharing? Okay, maybe I was already sharing. My bad. I'm tripping. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen. All right. Hold on 1 second. All right. So I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna pull up some notes and some things for us to talk about that I think are kind of important, and some things just for us to understand too, right? So let's go to my notes stuff real quick. All right. So, right. One of the things I want to introduce to you guys is called a fallacy. All right. This is a fallacy, right? And a fallacy is something that I feel like a lot of us do on accident or might not know exactly what it is or anything like that. But I kind of want to talk about what a fallacy is, right? So if you look at my highlighted, a fallacy is a deceptive, misleading, or false notion, belief, etc., misleading or a sound argument, deceptive, misleading, or false nature, erroneousness. I can't pronounce that for some reason. Logic, any various types of erroneous reasoning that render arguments logically unsound. So, I feel like a lot of us we can easily step into the fallacy department where we believe in the fallacy or accidentally are using fallacy, which is something you are misleading, something that is deceptive, something that's a false notion or a false belief about something that's unsound, misleading argument, something that can be deceptive, false nature, right? Anything in that category, right? And like I said, some people might actually do this on purpose, trying to be deceptive and misleading and have a narrative. And then you got other people who don't know. They're just listening to what other people tell them. And just because it sounds good or just because it's on a meme, right, then it must be true. So a lot of us can step into this fallacy or accidentally be using fallacy because we either are ignorant and want to do this stuff just to be, just to carry on the narratives and just do this, or you might not actually know. You're just listening to what the next person says, right? So let's introduce you to what a genetic fallacy is. Okay, so the genetic fallacy arises whenever we dismiss a claim or argument because of its origin and history. The genetic fallacy occurs when someone judges a claim simply based on its origin, rather than looking at actual merits of the claim. In other words, a claim is accepted or rejected on the basis of from whom or where it came from. All right. So a genetic fallacy is pretty much dismissing any argument, any little thing just because of its origin, just because of where it came from, and not looking at the actual merits of the claim or looking at the details of what's actually going on in the present. You're just rejecting where it came from. You're rejecting what stems from it, things like that, right? So, for instance, right, let's just say, for instance, another example of what a genetic fallacy might look like is, I think, who I heard this from? It might be my boy BK. BK, apologies, probably. I forgot I heard this from somebody. But, so example would be, all right, let's just say, for instance, um, just think of somebody that's like a horrible person, like someone that everyone agrees with that doesn't know. All right, so everyone likes to throw Hitler at this. We're going to throw Hitler out there, of course, right? So pretty much it would be like, all right, Hitler invented Volkswagen cars or Audi cars or Ford cars and things like that, right? And let's say, and Hitler did what he did. He killed millions of Jews and did all these bad things, right? But let's just say he invented the Ford car, he invented the Volkswagen car, he invented these vehicles, and now today you're driving a Ford or a Volkswagen that's originally came from Hitler, who was a bad person who did bad things. That means that you are like Hitler. That means you believe in what Hitler does. That means that you don't like Jewish people. That means you dabble in it. That means you do all these different things, right? That's a simple way to explain what a genetic fallacy is, right? Because a genetic fallacy is saying, okay, regardless of whatever you're doing or whatever you're celebrating or whatever you're using or whatever you are doing, people did it bad in the past for whatever reason. They did it bad in the past, or they were bad people and stuff like that. So since they did it back then and you're celebrating it, that means you're celebrating too, right? Or uh or what they say about Christmas. Oh well, Christmas came because December 25th was what did he say? Oh, September 25th is by a pagan holiday, Saturnalia or Solus Vinicus, right? And they worship pagan gods on December 25th. So now, since you're celebrating, which is not true, by the way, I'll get into a little bit of that later. But that's not true, by the way. But anyways, let's just say if it is, right? Let's just say if it is, right? But so yeah, since they celebrate and worship pagan gods on September 25th, you celebrate Christmas now, you just really worship pagan gods, or you worship a pagan holiday. That's not true. That's a fallacy. That's being misleading, false notion or belief. You're not looking at what people are doing today with it. You're looking at where it came from. Genetically, what's wrong with it? Like genetically, you're looking at how it started or where it came from, and now since somebody is participating in their way, or it's changed over time and they're participating in their way, so now you're celebrating pagans now. You're celebrating this now. You're dabbling. You're worshiping this. You're worshiping that, right? And I think that's a dangerous thing to say, just because um someone participates or wears something in particular, that means they're worshiping it or they believe in it or they, you know what I mean? Like, because I feel like a lot of people today, they just have a bad view of what worship is, or don't really understand what worship actually means. You know what I mean? I just think we just have a bad idea of what worship actually means. Like, because worship, you actually, okay, I'm actually explaining it to you before I get to my next point. So when you look at the definition of worship, right, highlighted here, worship is to honor or to show reverence for a divine being or supernatural power, or to regard with great or extravagant respect, honor, and devotion. Right? Now, biblically, if you want to look at what worship is, right? Which literally means either to bend over, bow down, right? It describes a great gesture of respect, submission to human beings, God, or idols, right? So, if you look at Genesis 18:2, Abraham looked up and saw three men standing nearby. When he saw them, he hurried from the entrance of his tent to meet them and bowed low to the ground. Low to the ground. Okay? Very low to the ground. So, this is in reverence to the Lord. So, when he saw the Lord in his holy presence, he bowed to the ground. Okay? Also, you can also look at another example in Exodus 20:4-6. You should now make You should not make for yourself an image in form of anything in heaven above or on earth beneath or in the waters below. You should not bow down to worship them. For I, the Lord, am a jealous God, punishing the children of the sin of the parents of the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing love to me to 1,000 generations to those who love me and keep my commandments. So he's literally saying, like, you should not bow down and worship them. Like literally bowing down, worshiping, like being all of them, right? Do not make yourself the image of anything. So even biblically, when we were looking at worshiping, we're looking at it from a very intentive, like intentional thing. Like you can't accidentally worship something. Okay, that doesn't even make sense. How do you accidentally worship something? How do you just happen to worship something? Like you have to know what you're doing. You have to know that you're participating in. You have to know who you're talking. You have to know these things. Like you can't just walk in and you know what I'm saying. That's like saying, for instance, if I'm wearing a cross, because a lot of people wear crosses, right? Over time, a lot of people wear crosses, Jesus pieces, stuff like that, right? That means that what? So that automatically believes that you believe in Jesus. You're a follower of Jesus Christ. That you believe in Jesus, your Lord and Savior, just because you have this on. No, it doesn't. And it doesn't mean you're worshiping him because you have these things on, right? You can even be in church and not really worship Jesus, for crying out loud. Because just because you go to church doesn't even mean you're a Christian, really, these days. People just like being at church because it makes them feel like they're good and stuff like that. I'm not trying to drag on people that might do that, but just because you're there doesn't mean you worship Jesus. It can be first time you hear listen about the gospel of Jesus when you're at church. That doesn't mean you're a follower of Jesus because you go to church or might attend often on occasion, or just because you have a cross and necklace on. You know what I'm saying? Or wearing a Jesus piece, or even having a Bible verse in your bio. That doesn't make you a believer in Christ. That doesn't mean you're a believer in Christ, right? That don't mean anything. You could just like the Bible verse and you like what it says, and it hits for you. That doesn't mean that you worship Jesus, right? That's not what it means. It doesn't mean that. Just because you're wearing it or might even participate in church here and there, that doesn't mean you worship Christ, right? That's not what it means. How you worship Christ is daily devotion, right? How you worship Christ is, do you pray to him? Do you read his word? Do you listen to his commands, right? And because of the effect of you giving your life to him, what does that show in your daily actions, right? Like there has to be a devotion to him. You know what I'm saying? Devotion, honor, reverence of a divine, knowing that he's divine, and I'm having devotion for him. Like I know what I'm doing, right? You can't accidentally do that. It doesn't even work that way. But a lot of people they think, oh, just because you participate in something, that means you worship it. But it ain't true. It's not true, right? You know what I'm saying? This whole episode is not to be like, okay, I'm trying to stick up for the Christmas holiday or any other holiday or whatever the case may be, right? Because my thing is, if you don't want to worship it for whatever reason it is, that's fine. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that, right? Like the whole gimmick stuff that comes with Christmas stuff like that, I really don't care for it at all. Like really, as much as I got older, I don't really care for it as much as I used to. But if people really love Christmas and trees and lights and all types of different stuff, like this is just for stop being a Debbie Downer at these people because they can participate in this, and there's nothing wrong with them participating in it. That's the whole point of this, right? They want to participate, let them participate in it, right? Um, and even when you think about it, now we think about Christmas itself, right? You hear like, oh, Saturnalia, that was on December 25th. They even used that to worship pagan gods, and it was on September 25th. When in reality, if you actually look it up, they actually celebrated that on December 17th. You know what I'm saying? Or Solus Invictus. They said, oh, that's another one that they celebrated. Pagan god, pagan. Their Greek pagan stuff, Roman pagan stuff like that. But if you looked it up, they didn't start celebrating that until 354 AD, and then really later on until 362 AD. When in reality, North African churches celebrated December 25th prior to 311 AD, right? And it might be even earlier than that, because if you look at Tertullian of Carthage, who was an early church father in Africa, right? He even talks about worshiping on Jesus being born on December 25th. You even think he's from Africa, okay? He's an African early church father. All right. So we're talking about in 200 AD. Okay. So we're seeing that churches in North Africa were celebrating Jesus' birth on December 25th, way before that. Way before that, right? And when you look at the origins, right? When you look at why they were doing it as well, they did it because they were trying to calculate from Jesus' death up into his conception to see when the actual day of his birth, the actual day he was born at, right? That's what they would do, right? There was a belief in the early church that that date, the death of Jesus, would also reflect either his birth or his conception, right? And you can read the book by Thomas J. Talley, The Origins of the Liturgical Year, which is, you can look that book up and it will tell you all that. And you can also look up the book that talks about the history of it, The Search of the Origins of Christian Worship, Sources and Methods for Study of Early Literature. You can look at both of those books. It literally tells you why the Christians, because there's two different hypotheses of why they came up with December 25th. But to bring all that up, and not to mention, I'm sorry, Hippolytus, he did a commentary on Daniel, which talked about, and this is from 202 to a 211 AD, talking about Christians celebrating Christmas on December 25th. And like I said, this was way before Rome, way before the white man even started to accept Christianity. Cause let's also remember, by the way, right? No one else is thinking about this too, right? When you're thinking about this, right? They celebrated Jesus' birth on December 25th. Now, Rome, you have to remember, Rome, they were persecuting Christians in the Roman Empire. They were killing them. Okay? So a lot of people's flack would be like, oh, well, they were trying to copy off the Roman pagans who were celebrating on this day. Yo, they would never ever try to get close to worshiping another Roman thing. Why? Because they wanted to kill Christians. Okay? They were literally persecuting Christians for like the first 3.5 centuries. Okay? So Rome, who was in control with the world power, they were literally persecuting Christians. Okay? They were not into Christians at all. They were trying to kill them. So it wouldn't even make any sense for early Christians to copy or to try to mimic something for Rome when they were killing them prior. Okay? That doesn't even make any sense at all, actually, when you really look at the history of it. Because Rome didn't really accept Christianity until way later. What mid third, really fourth century, and then later on, where Constantine actually helped Christians out by creating different things. So I mean the Edict of Midian, I think, which helped the Christians out not be persecuted or killed anymore. So prior to all that, like I said, prior to 311 AD, North African churches were celebrating Jesus' birth at December 25th, right? Whereas Saturnalia, I can't even pronounce that right, but that was even celebrated on December 17th, so that had nothing to do with anything. And then Solus Invictus, they did that later, right? So it has nothing to do with September 25th. So yeah, but I know over time they added all this extra Christmas stuff with all the, you know what I'm saying? But the trees have nothing to do with pagan worship. Wreaths have nothing to do with pagan worship and stuff like that. I just wanted to say this. I actually think I have a podcast episode where I actually talk about this too. So that's why I'm not going super deep into it. Cause I already have a podcast episode that I actually talked about Christianity like a pagan and all that stuff. So I actually talked about it. But I just wanted to just share little things just to let you know that there's nothing pagan about celebrating Jesus' birth on December 25th. Nothing pagan about it. And when you look at the history of it, it doesn't even make any sense, right? Hippolytus commentary on Daniel. Look that up. Tertullian's adventures. Hold on. Hold on. What's the actual thing? Because I'm literally telling you sources to look up and read it yourself. And this is historical sources and footnotes they're putting in. Not no random book that got this claims with nothing to support it. This is actual uh historical stuff that's being written here that's actually quoting from. Okay. So I just had to, throw that out there. Crap, where the heck? Hold on, I'm gonna name the actual source on here too. Um, oh yes, Tertullian, Adversus Adios, Adversus Adversus 8. So I think that's probably like the chapter 8 of what he written there, right? So if you want to go back and actually read it and actually see what he actually quoted, then there you go. But the thing is, right? The whole point of really to me is, even if it was, let's just say, for instance, Christmas was pagan. Let's just say, um, um, yeah, let's just say it did come from pagan, and Greeks made it pagan and stuff like that. And then later on, Christians decided they wanted to use this day to celebrate Jesus, right? A lot of people be like, no, they shouldn't do that because, it was derived from this Greek god, or it was derived from this god, or it was derived from this, that, and the third, right? But we need to be careful with that energy because you're going to keep that same energy with just because you participate in a holiday, or if you're wearing this shirt, or if you're wearing this gym, or whatever you're wearing. We gotta be careful with that because if we keep having that same mindset when it comes to everything, then there's a lot of stuff that can possibly be off limits, right? Now, if you look at Wicca, like the Wicca.com, the Wicca stuff, they actually use a lot of different things to worship, right? Like right here, spiritual and magical elements of water, the deity goddess, energy, receptive, feminine, direction, west, tools. Oh, colors blue, green, indigo, seasons, autumn. And a black bowl, water can be used for a Sacrian. Water is base ingredient for magical teas, potions, and used for various forms of spell work. Okay, so if we're gonna be honest here, right? So just because water was used for spells and things like that, right? And there are people that have used water to celebrate deities and all types of other different stuff. That means we must leave water alone, right? We should just leave water alone, right? Or air. Air is involved in burning of incense and smudging rituals, breathe work, and ritual movements and dance. Also, to utilize the energy of the air, direction of wind can be used to enhance certain types of spell work. So, I guess we should leave air alone. I guess. Let's not breathe. I guess. Even fire, right? Fire can be used. Candles are both used as adjuncts to magic in order to enhance the atmosphere up for spell work, and as the primary focus of candles, fire is also used in burning spells. So, no more candles or anything like that since it's been used before, since it's been used for pagan worship or some type of deity worship or some type of worship like that. You know what I mean? Hey. Salt, a symbol of earth, is often used to cast the circle before ritual. So can be added to certain magic charms or used to cleanse crystals and other tools. Many spells call for burying certain objects in the earth. So I guess the earth is bad too. We might as well leave earth as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's different things. If you check Wicca Living, they literally have all these elements that are used for worship, right? If you even look at EQUIPPED.thePodcast, they actually name other stuff that's been used over time for worship, like chicken. There's chicken. People use chicken for worship. So that means we shouldn't eat chicken anymore. Or butter, right? No butter. Forget the butter. There's no more butter whatsoever. Don't use no butter no more because people have used it or derived it from from uh from spells or some type of deity worship or things like that, right? Like I'm just saying, like we're playing it, we're using a slippery slope here. If we're gonna keep doing this stuff, like we're gonna keep saying, oh, there's other stuff you need to think about too, right? Even Starbucks, the Starbucks lady and the little thing, right? She's actually a Syrian, a Greek mythology Syrian. The Syrians that are sea creatures that are used to to um to seduce seamen and other people in the sea and stuff like that. So since that since Star oh y'all gonna be since Starbucks since we can't drink any more Starbucks because that means we worship Syrian, right? We worship Syrian now because you like to drink Starbucks coffee and all this other different stuff, right? Since we're gonna keep it that, there's other stuff too. Um, Amazon. How many people have Amazon Prime, right? The Amazons were, a nation of warrior women descended from Ares, the god of war. So, if you're gonna use Amazon, I guess you're all with Ares. You're with the god of war. You're with all this different stuff, right? You worship that deity too. You know what I'm saying? I guess so. Uh, Nike. Oh, y'all like Jordans and shoes and stuff like that. Where the logo actually, the swoosh is actually derived from the wing of the Greek goddess of victory. So you worship victory every time you put Jordans on, Air Max ones, all these other different shoes and things like that, right? And the thing is, there are so many different things, right, that is derived from something. That doesn't mean you worship it. That doesn't mean you're putting all your faith and hope into this thing. That's not what it means, right? And I think we are being disingenuous and really dangerous when we're in that territory that, if you wear it, if you participate in something, then you're worshiping a Greek god and you're worshiping pagans when that's cap. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's corny, really. Because that's not what a lot of people aren't doing out here. They're not. Just because they're wearing something or celebrating some things like that, that's not what it means. Like, because and like I said, there's so many different things that we do every day or use possibly that was used for worship or some type of practice, spell practice or something like that. That doesn't mean that we are doing it. Doesn't mean that we believe in it. Doesn't mean that we're participating in it, right? And I think it's just disingenuous that we say that about other people. And like I said, if you find out that I don't know, deodorant was used for some type of pagan practice, you don't wear deodorant no more. Cool, do you? Don't tell other people don't wear it because it was derived from somewhere, possibly. You know what I mean? Or you know what? The term underwear. We used to wear underwear. Underwear was derived from somewhere, so we're not going to wear underwear anymore because it used to. No, like if you want to, do you? Like that's fine. You have any reason not to participate or anything like that anymore. I get it. But to tell other people they shouldn't because of what you think it is, and a lot of times people don't even know really what the history of things derive from. So you're gonna tell someone to stop doing it because of blah blah blah, and that's what you personally feel. Then you can't do that. Don't be pushing what you think and feel on other people because you have a problem with what you think and feel about it. Like that's an issue, a bad issue. That's something I think we need to stop actually doing. Especially around holidays. If you're the same person that does it around every time around the same time, you're doing it to be petty. You are doing it to be petty. You're not doing it because you actually care to help people or to help people learn the history about. And honestly, I don't even care if you even share certain history if it's actually correct though. If it's correct history or correct historical history, all right, cool. Then that's fine. People need to be informed where things are derived from. That's cool. If you really actually are concerned and things like that, but at the end of the day, don't look at somebody because they want to celebrate or wear something or drink something or buy something from whatever. Stop looking at people crazy because that's not who they are. And you're literally committing the genetic fallacy, which happens more than you think. More than you think. So we just gotta stop doing that. Like we gotta stop doing that and be more generous and stuff like that. We just gotta stop doing it. Because if that's the case, like we're going down a slippery slope, right? And I feel like Christians always get tagged around this time for Christmas. Oh, you worship pagan God on Christmas and December 25th is pagan, but it's Constantine. Like everything is Constantine, Constantine, Constantine. When until you actually realize that Constantine didn't start Christianity or didn't change anything in Christianity or nothing like that. And then, what I'm saying? Once people start actually reading history about that, then that's when stuff like this will actually start to simmer and decease a little bit. But until then, yeah, just keep informing people and things like that. But I just think it's just be considerate of people. Be considerate of people. Have conversations. Listen to other people. Stop thinking what you like. That they're worshiping, they're doing something such. When they're not. They're not doing that. So that's pretty much really all I had to say today. Nothing super super long, but I just wanted to say that because I feel like we just have a bad view of what worship actually is versus what it actually is, and also like us committing fallacies too much, especially the genetic fallacy, and then also us not looking at the right history when it looks at certain things, which is why we get to these illogical places in the first place. So, but hey, remember, stay equipped. Next time somebody says this is pagan, that's pagan, or this, that, and the third, what you gonna tell them? So, but that's pretty much all I got for you guys today. Uh, yeah, have a good rest of the week, rest of your day, all this, that, and the third. Thank you for listening, and we out. Peace.